Hello, Linda from Barlates Body Blitz here. Minnie's not in the studio today. She's snuggled up inside, but don't worry, she'll be back very soon. Today we're doing another walk and talk, so if you don't like the chat element of my walking workouts, please head on over to my channel and choose another one that does not have walk and talk in the title, or just mute me and put on your own music. We are going to be chatting a little bit more about our thinking patterns, beliefs, which then drive our actions and momentum with our thoughts, and how we can kind of skew them to go in a more positive direction. So that's going to be the topic of today, and a few other things if I have time. It's quite a fast pace today, guys, so I'm going to need you to choose your level. You do not have to keep up with me. The first exercise, and we're changing every 60 seconds, is going to be a bicep and a knee across. You can just put your other hand on your waist, so it's a bicep curl with a knee, and then a little arm sweep across. So if you don't like the exercises, please just walk in place or walk around the room, depending on how much space you've got. And if you do want to do these exercises with me and you want to intensify it in some way, add a light hand weight, add an ankle weight, whatever floats your boat, people, make it your own workout. I'm going to definitely keep it a little bit less intense because I need to be able to speak to you at the same time. So if you watched one of my other recent walk and talks, I mentioned about how the way we think can drive the way we feel, and in turn that can drive our mood and the actions we take in our life, consequently from those beliefs that we build. Exactly the same thing other side. So the more you think a thought, the more you believe it, and it can become a core belief in your life. And if that happens, then everything that you do can be colored by that belief. And a lot of our core beliefs come from childhood, when the people around us model certain behaviors, and because we're so impressionable at such a young age, we just automatically look at those caregivers and think that they're right in the way that they're behaving, and we tend to take on board a lot of the stuff that they do as being the right way of handling life. But once we become adults, often we realize that that was actually not the best way of doing it, but because it's so entrenched in our minds, in our nervous system, it can be very hard to stop that same thinking. We're going to go punch, punch, butt kick, butt kick. Punch, punch, butt kick, butt kick. So we then go into adulthood, sometimes having these false beliefs about ourselves that don't serve us at all, and it can make us very unhappy, because if our beliefs end up consequently producing actions in our lives, we can start doing things that are actually self-sabotaging in some way and are not good for us at all. So if you're one of those people that finds that no matter what you do, life seems to constantly throw you curveballs that are negative, and you seem to be stuck in a rut and you can't kind of get out of it, maybe underneath all of that there are some beliefs that are really not serving you. Same thing other side, and up, punch, punch, kick your butt. So with negative thinking, the interesting thing is that we often have this thing which is like a confirmation bias. So it's a vicious cycle of thinking a certain way, and then because our mind can only process a certain amount of information at any given time, I think it's 40,000 bits of information at any given time, it means that we look at life with these particular colored glasses, and our beliefs drive what we actually see around us. So if you imagine the example, you just bought a new car, and all of a sudden, let's go side, side, knee, knee. So low jack, and then knee, knee. So you just bought a new car and all of a sudden you see that same model of car everywhere you go. Now, is it that all of a sudden other people bought exactly the same car? Or is it that because your mind is now on this particular model that you happen to see it more? And is it that whole RAS, confirmation bias, that is cutting out other information and showing you your particular car more often? Because that is what you're focused on and that's what is in your mind. In the same way, it can be a negative thing, that if we have a certain belief about ourselves that's negative, like we're not good enough, we're not good at a particular thing, people don't like us, let's go step, knee, back, step, knee, back, back. Then it can very well be that our brain hones in on those negative thoughts, knee, back, back. Sorry guys, I'm going to use both hands because I find it easier. Your mind might actually give you confirmation of those same negative experiences, same negative thoughts, because you're so attuned to it, you're so used to it, to finding those, what you believe are truths in your everyday life, that you see them more. And when you see them time and time again, you say to yourself, well, it's confirming it, it's true, because I see it so often in my everyday life that it must be true, right? Or could it be that you are simply cutting out certain information? Let's go knee and one side jack, knee and side. Could it be that because your brain can only focus on so much at one time, that you're cutting out the positives and focusing on the negatives? Another example would be, have you ever had one of those days where something goes wrong first thing in the morning? All of a sudden you're in a foul mood, you're annoyed, you're frustrated, and then what happens? Everything goes wrong, right? So annoying, one thing after the other keeps going wrong. Why is that? Is it really that the universe is just out to get you and it's going to be one of those days? Or is it that you're in such a negative mood that you almost expect stuff to go wrong, and then you're already in a stress state and you start making little mistakes? Let's go other side. So knee and low jack, other side. Maybe you are just in that stressed nervous system state that is causing you to fumble, that is causing you not to think clearly, because when you are stressed, your thinking brain actually switches off to a certain extent to conserve energy, and you start making little mistakes that you might not have made if you are in a better mood. So there are explanations to a lot of these things which we think, oh my goodness, what's going on? The universe is doing this, the universe is doing that. Or is it just the way we see things? So if we can agree that the way we frame things, the way we see things, can actually decide how positive or negative our day could be, if we agree with that, we can actually, let's do a little down and up with a little leg kick. We can actually take the power back, because then we can see that, okay, it's our brain that is focusing on things in a more negative way. And that's kind of a good thing, a liberating, a freeing feeling to know that the power's back with us, that we can decide to be more positive in the moment, to look at the positives of a situation rather than the negatives, and that then our confirmation bias can look for evidence of positive truths and beliefs rather than the negative ones. Now, I'm not saying that's an easy thing, because obviously if we've been thinking a certain way for our entire life, it can be very hard. Let's go 2 steps across. Let's just do these arms, open chest arms, and stay kind of low. Weight is in the heel. Deep breaths. So it's easier said than done, I know. I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy journey, but it's possible, right? It's possible because neuroscience tells us that our brain is plastic, that we can rewire our brain. Just think of all those people that have had accidents where they've been brain damaged and they had to learn to read again, to write again, to talk again, to walk again. It's possible. It all starts in the brain. So why not try to control, well, control might not be the best way, but try to build healthy habits in the way you think while things are pretty good. Not while you're going through some trauma, but let's go out and across and across. So it's a tricep little extension and then a crossbody punch. Why not try to train your brain while you're not going through anything crazy, so that when it does come to times when we go through major struggle, which we all do and it's inevitable in life, then you're already in the habit of it, right? Don't wait, like I did, to get really sick and hit rock bottom before you start taking back power about the way you think. Now, I just want to share another example to show you that it is much, much easier for you to be able to gain control of your thinking at the very onset of a negative thought or at the very onset of a negative circumstance. So this is an example that I recently heard and I thought it was a really good one. Front and side, front and side. So punch, front, step, front, side, punch and punch. So the example was, imagine you've got your car at the very top of a very steep hill and it's in neutral and the park brake is off. It's literally just at the very top, and if you were to push it very slightly, it would start rolling, right? And it's a steep hill and there's a lake at the bottom of the hill. So say you're curious and silly and you decide to just nudge it a little bit, right? You just want to see, if I nudge this a little bit, how fast will it roll? So you nudge it, but you kind of stand in front of it so you can stop it immediately. And of course, it rolls and you quickly stop it, put on the park brake, and everything is cool. Now imagine, let's go touch back, touch front, touch front. If you can touch, otherwise just as close as you can. Kind of bend into it with your waist a little bit. Now imagine that that same car is at the top of the hill, but you're at the bottom of the hill. And you've pushed that car and somehow you teleported down to the bottom of the hill. And then you decide, I want to stop this car from rolling into the bay. What chance have you got? Really? Are you going to be able to stop that car, or is it more likely to come down, zooming down that hill, gaining momentum and take you out and push you into the bay with it if you stand in front of it? So let's have a look at how that relates to our thoughts. Say, for example, you have a negative thought. Someone doesn't call you back straight away. And you have a thought like, let's go punch and back, punch and back. So knee up, step back. And you immediately start thinking they're angry with you, or whatever thought that you're thinking that's negative. If you were to immediately stop that thought before it goes any further than just that one little thought, oh, they must be angry at me, it would be so much easier to stop. You can quite easily go, they're probably just busy, maybe they didn't see the message, maybe their phone is off, maybe they're driving. You can quite easily counter that thought, right? So you're at the top of the hill and you just nudge, stop the car as it slightly moves forward. You've stopped it, put on the park brake, continued on with your day. What's the other scenario? The thought comes in and instead of stopping it, you push the car and you run to the bottom of the hill, other side, up and back. You start thinking, remember that thing that happened on the weekend with them. They seem a bit cold. They seem not as chatty as usual. Do you remember XYZ? And you start thinking about every single scenario, why they could be upset with you. You get angry about it. You know, like, why should I even bother with them because of whatever? And you escalate that negative thinking, and soon you've riled yourself up so much that from a simple, they didn't call you back straight away thought, you have gotten to the point where you're like, I'm never going to talk to them again, or if they call me, I'm not even going to answer, or whatever. Now, what do you think that type of thinking does to your nervous system? Do you think you're at peace? Do you think you're at rest? Side, side, side twist, side twist. Maybe extend your arms a bit. Bend towards the knee. Do you think you're at peace and at rest? Or perhaps you're in fight or flight. Your cortisol levels shoot through the roof. You're anxious. You're not breathing nice and slow and relaxed, but you're breathing shallow and quickly. You start making mistakes because you're not thinking straight, because your prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, goes offline for a bit because you're so stressed about this imaginary situation that you caused in your mind. Can you see? And then when you're in that state, more goes wrong. You get angrier and angrier, and your whole day goes down the drain. And day in and day out, honestly, you wake up in the morning, guess what? They have said, let's go knee lift and big clapping arms. Neuroscientists have said that 90% of our thoughts are the same as yesterday. So if you start your day thinking in a negative way, and then it keeps gaining momentum, like that car going down the hill, and you continue to think negatively even before bed, guess what? You're going to get up the next morning and you're going to think negatively. It's a guarantee. So seeing that cycle and being able to acknowledge it and step outside it for just a moment and thinking that actually my brain is capable of change, not kind of saying being the victim or having a victim mentality, but saying I can change. I've seen evidence of change. And let's stay on one side, knee across, touch your heel. And there's millions of things that you could reference in terms of evidence for change. One of the easy ones for me is if you've changed the position of something in your house, like where you keep your hairbrush, for example, for whatever reason you decided to put it in a different drawer, how many times do you go back to the first drawer where it always was? But then eventually you go back to the first drawer less and less, and then you've retrained your brain and you never go back to that first drawer unless there's, you know, some bizarre moment where your brain goes offline and you forget. But let's just say that example shows you that your brain can change. So if it can change for that, why can't it change for other things? Is it not just a matter of training your brain to do things in a different way, to think about things in a more positive way? Other side. So once you understand that and you realize it's your power, you are empowered to be able to change the way you think, you can start to first of all notice when you have these negative thoughts. And once you notice that, you can slowly, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, you can slowly start to stop it before that car gets down to the bottom of the hill. You might stop it halfway, 3/4 way. You might not be there yet to stop it at the very onset, but it is possible to stop it. And when you just have that one victory of stopping it at the very beginning, and you see how easy it is, and then you feel that motivation and that victory that you were able to do it, then the next time will be easier. It's like a domino effect. It will become easier and easier, and you will feel more and more empowered. Let's go side and side, arms overhead, side lunge. You will feel so amazing when you're able to stop that whole momentum from happening and ruining your day. And the other part of that, as I have said in so many videos, is trying to get yourself out of a funk by changing the state of your nervous system through little exercises that will bring you peace and joy, whether it be some deep breathing, listening to a joyful song, playing with your pets, dancing around the room. Do something, meditation, breath work, going out in nature. Do something to change your physical state. It will help you to change your mental state, get you back into a more relaxed mode. And that means, let's go up and down with the prance. This is the last 60 seconds, people. It's gone so fast. So that will change your nervous system state, help you to then slow down, get your brain back online, make better choices, and interrupt that vicious cycle of constantly allowing your thoughts, your negative thoughts, to gain momentum. And perhaps one day you will be so good at it that you start to let your positive thoughts gain momentum. And every time something negative happens, you change the way you think about it to make it the most positive slant instead of the most negative. And you actually think yourself happy. You think yourself joyful, and guess what happens then? You start getting confirmation bias about the positive stuff in your life, and that's what you will tunnel vision see. Your 40 bits of information that your brain can handle at any given time will start seeking joy, seeking positivity, seeking goodness and love, and it will affect your life so much. I promise you. It's hard work, but it is worth it, guys. I hope you got something out of this. I'm so out of breath. Just walk in place. Let your heart rate down. Yeah, I hope you got something out of this. Please comment below. I'd love to hear about your experiences. Maybe you have some tips and tricks up your sleeve on how to quieten those negative thoughts and focus more on the positive. I'm sure everyone would love to hear it, so make sure you comment below. Thanks so much for chatting with me, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.